Good to go.
Okay. So everyone, as we kind of pull people in, and I'll be letting them in as we move along, want to introduce everybody. There are at least two of our panel members that do know each other, and that is Vandana and Tushar. And so that everybody knows everybody else. Vandana Talani is the CEO of Convanto out of India, and Tushar Kansal is the CEO of Kansaltancy Ventures out of India. Atif Zafar is the CEO of Pixelica out of the United States, and Paulina Selgalska Tenner, I should just say Paulina Tenner, so much easier.
That's it, yeah, easier.
Okay, is the founder of Grant Tree out of the United Kingdom. And what I love about this panel is all of you have a little bit of a differential about each other that's a little unique. You know, what Paulina does is different from the way that Atif operates, and both of them are different from the way that you, Vandana and Tushar, operate. So what we want to do is find that interesting mix of different options for people here. So let's start with you, Vandana, and I'm going to kind of put a loose timer on us so that we'll know how much time we're spending. So Vandana, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and make your little presentation.
Sure. So first of all, thank you, Mary, for having me here, and very nice to see panelists from all parts of the world. I'll start by introducing myself. I had my own family office in Singapore and Jakarta. I worked as an investment banker and advisor to family offices and angel investors in Jakarta, Indonesia, helping startups from a diverse background, from fintech, B2B tech, all the way to consumer startups. I was raising funds for them and providing them with a range of services just as Convanto does today. And after 15 years of staying in Singapore and Jakarta, I came back to India. I did investments for a bit and then returned to advisory. That is when Convanto was founded. And today, Convanto is one of the most well-known boutique investment banks in India and led by a female founder. Today, I'm also a venture advisor with Loyal VC, the INSEAD-led Canadian VC fund, having a core portfolio of over 160 investments in more than 35 countries. I'm also a partner with GST Venture Studios, a Silicon Valley-based venture builder. And over the years, I've arranged funding for startups and growth stage companies in diverse sectors like edutech, fintech, consumer, B2C, and B2B, agri-tech, health tech, food tech, disruptive and deep tech, as well as non-tech sectors. And would recommend all of you to have a look at my website for the wonderful testimonials written by my clients. This month, I've been nominated as the top 10 women leaders in wealth management 2021. And my expert opinion is sought by leading business news channels and publications. I've given 155 plus talks, and you can easily see all of them on YouTube and other streaming sites like VCTV. I'm connected with 300 plus investors globally, and I pick up global deals, and I'm sector agnostic, and we do typically $1 million to $25 million. And once again, Mary, thank you so much for having me.
Wow, you did that in under 5. I'm impressed. So, very good. I may have missed it, Vandana, but I think what would be useful to say as far as your operational means, how your business model. I don't want to have to go too deep into it, but if you'll just share that, the commission piece of that, so that people understand how you go about searching for, and how you are engaged, basically.
Sure, definitely. So we typically take an exclusive mandate for the connects we bring to the startup or any company. Apart from this, we take a success fees, which varies from 2 to 5%. We do take an upfront fees, which we minus it from the success. Now, what do we do? When a company signs up with us, we give them lots of things like sample write-ups, decks, YouTube links, DD lists, FAQs of investors, sample term sheets. We stay with them on all calls. We groom them as to how to present themselves to the investors. And we do a lot of international calls for them. So we basically give a service to them for 3 months, for which we take the upfront, but we minus it from the success. We only pick up those deals which we are sure of getting success. And 95% of the time, the deal goes through our platform. If anybody brings us any kind of work, we share 20% of the upfront and 33% of our success fees. That's our small business model. We also make pitch decks and financial models. And we do, anybody who brings us this kind of service also, we help them with the 20% as well.
Great. Thank you, Vandana. That was very thorough. Very good. Thank you. Atif, Atif, take yourself off mute, if you will, and let's have an introduction of you and how you operate, because Atif serves on my advisory board and is someone that I've known for quite some time, but known him as a serial entrepreneur. So,
right, so I'm actually investor. Yeah, I don't have a business background. I also don't have an engineering background. I'm a medical doctor. I'm currently in practice at our level 1 trauma center in Indianapolis. I work. I've been through the academic route. Been an associate professor at a medical school for 15 years. Primary care doctor, ER doctor, ICU doctor. Now I run a hospital at night, a level 1 trauma center, 700-bed hospital that we see patients in the ER and we admit them. I'm one of 2 docs that works at night. But I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started, my passion is in engineering. So I taught myself everything over 30 years. And now I have 9 companies doing very advanced cutting edge stuff. I started out doing a medical device where we're building a heart catheter. And really what happened in that case was I was approached at a wine tasting event that I was at. And a guy needed a medical doctor to help him start this company to do a very cutting edge heart catheter device where we use radio frequency ablation inside the artery to blow a plaque. And so you don't need to have any bypass surgery and you don't need to have any stents. We can eliminate the stent market and we can eliminate the bypass surgery market with this device. We have forward-looking 3D ultrasound on the device for guidance, and you can do everything in one sitting. And basically, it's a big market where we've got we've raised $2.5 million. We've got 8 patents on it. We're kind of raising a second round now. And maybe Vandana, we can talk afterwards if you're interested. So after starting the first company, it just became, for me anyway, so exciting. I started the next one, funded some of them myself with my own money. One interesting approach to funding was that I had another friend who wanted to do this company with me, and he had a very wealthy friend as well who made money in engineering, and he's also an engineer. So the way we raised money for that company, we didn't found the company and then go raise money. We found the investor first, and then we founded the company. And the investor being an equitable part of the company, an equal partner with us. Now we have a blank check, basically. We have access, he's worth $200 million. And we don't need any money. We don't need to go raise any money. He's part of the company, and whatever we need, he just writes a check for us. So it's very easy to execute that company. And we've got big clients, Samsung, Qualcomm, Intel for that company. Uber's coming to us. So we're doing some really cutting edge stuff. So I've been a serial entrepreneur. Pixelica, my company that I'm, we mentioned in this talk is a company I started really sitting at a friend's wedding in the south of France. And we just sat there and we came up with an idea and we started a company. And here we are 3 years later doing some big projects with some big companies. So it's all, about how you are as an entrepreneur, what passion you have. It's all about taking an idea and executing it. And the execution is the hard part, obviously. But if you have the motivation, the mindset, and the stamina to do it, you can do it. You can do pretty much anything. So most recently, I can give you a very quick example. Is we're starting a semiconductor hub in Indiana that is going to be a model for small fabs around the country. I don't know if you may have heard recently, the U.S. has a mandate called the Chips for America Act, and also another one called the Endless Frontiers Act, put forth by the government, the federal government, to avail more than $250 billion for semiconductor expertise in the US. So we're creating that in the state of Indiana. I'm leading an effort to create $1 billion fab in Indiana that'll have access to some of the top talent in the country. And we want to keep our graduates in-house. We have a lot of graduates from Purdue University that's part of Indiana that leave the state. And one way to attract them to stay is to have a fab like this. So that's the most recent project I'm working on.
So thank you, Atif. So back to I wanted to ask you a question. You were talking about how you're involved in this project where you've got somebody who's just writing you a check for everything that you need. I know I saw something on LinkedIn where you were looking for, if there were people that were looking for funds that they could come to you, and maybe I missed that, but can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this Silicon Nexus, what we're building will be a VC fund, basically. It'll be so if you have small companies that are, in the IoT space or in the medical space, agriculture, tech space, we'll be able to fund them once we get this fund going, which will be probably within the next 6 months. So, yeah, they should talk to us and see what their expertise is. We can help them build chips, which is going to be our kind of core expertise. So if you have a company that is using a commercial chip right now, what's happening in the semiconductor industry, for example, is that a lot of the semiconductors are being used by the automotive market and some of the big players. So small companies don't have access to semiconductors right now, and they're struggling. You can't get products out because the semiconductors are not available. This is because of COVID, basically. So what we're advocating is, hey, instead of using a commercial product, you can go build your own semiconductor. And what you thought might be a $10 million expense is not really that. It's probably more like a $100,000 expense. So we can shepherd them through this process of building their own semiconductors with our commercial partners at a very reduced rate compared to what they think may be possible. And so with that as an expertise and the ability to kind of infuse funds into into their company, we will act as an incubator for small companies interested in building semiconductors.
Great, thank you for that information. That's interesting. Later, I think Marissa came in a little bit after you were talking about your hospital background. So I think maybe afterwards the two of you need to chat, because she has connections within the hospital space on some of the work that she's doing, both for-profit and nonprofit, I believe, side of the house. So I just wanted to bring that to her attention before we get off, so that she knows that she might want to connect with you. All right, so Tushar, why don't you go next and introduce yourself and a little bit about your business.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, all of you, for making a wonderful panel today, and I look forward to discussing amongst all of you today. So myself, Tushar Kansal, company's name is Kansaltancy Ventures. We help invest venture capital into startups and growth stage companies. I am personally an investor in 4 companies, one of which I exited quite some time ago. I am actually an engineer and also MBA Finance from University of Delhi, and I did my executive education from Harvard Business School. My corporate experience has been in companies like private equity practice at Deloitte and Touche, which is one of the big 4 consulting companies globally. And I was part of the team at Brand Capital, which is India's largest venture capital fund by the number of deals. And I also was heading treasury at the Russian company Sistema's India unit, MTS India, where I raised almost $2.5 billion for the company in 3 years. And I was CFO with a company owned by Guggenheim Partners, the American PE fund. I am a mentor and judge at entrepreneurship cells of 3 of the top 5 engineering colleges in India, which is IIT Delhi, IIT Mumbai, IIT Chennai, and IIT ISM Dhanbad. And done more than 12 deals in the last 2.5 years. Also, I'm a partner with GSD Venture Studios, Silicon Valley-based venture builder. I do deals across tech and non-tech, and also CNN News 18, Venture Capital TV, Business World, Business and Economy, Curious, Digital Market Asia have been featured in all of them, and have done more than 100 talks since October last year. They are all on YouTube channels. On the business side, the commercial side, I charge if the fundraise is of an angel investor kind, as in less than $100,000 or less than $200,000. I charge 5 to 6% success fee, and also an upfront fees, which is there to cover the work we do during the time we raise funds for the company, which is quite a lot, because talking to investors, convincing them, negotiating the term sheet, negotiating the shareholders agreement, helping on the due diligence side, and all these things, they call for a lot of time and effort. And for the large fundraisers, my success fees is 3 to 4%, and upfront fees is there as well. And we do documentation also for the fundraise, which is pitch deck, business plan, which is a 25-page project report. Pitch deck is a 15-slide kind of presentation for the investor, and we do business valuations as well. So this is about me, and nice to be on the panel here today and amongst all of you. And thank you, Mary, once again.
Thank you, Tushar. You may have mentioned it because I think that you were talking about the ones that you've been working with, but seeing what you're seeing out there in terms of what's coming toward you, what are the preferred clients that you have? What is the easiest, the lowest hanging fruit for somebody like you to help get funds?
So, Mary, because I have worked in corporates and have more than 20 years of experience, so I tend to get a lot of entrepreneurs who have started after doing their corporate stint. And these people, they know what they're talking about. You don't need to coach them too much on the business side of things, but you definitely need to coach them on the venture capital side of things. And they make fundamental mistakes a lot of the times, but they are quick learners, and they like to do things methodologically. So there is a fintech company which has already raised $1.63 million. There is an education technology company which is having a turnover of around how much would that be? It's $70 million, and they have a profit, very nice little profit also sitting there. So they want to raise funds. And there was a chocolate confectionery company which has its own brands for the kids, and their turnover is also $70 million. And also the captain of India's cricket team, MS Dhoni, his company Riti Sports is my client. And also the cricketer Yuvraj Singh, who hit 6 sixes in the World Cup 2020. His company UV Can is also a client. So these people, they come to me because I have experience, and a lot of youngsters also come to me after seeing the talks, actually.
Okay, thank you. And all of you work globally. I meant to ask Atif in regards to a semiconductor work, the project that you've got going on there with the sort of incubator. Is that going to be just US based, or is that inclusive of anybody from any country?
Well, right now it's going to be US based because we lack that expertise in the US. Right now, if you look at from 20 years ago, the global, we used to have about 37% US manufacturing expertise in semiconductors. Now it's down to 12%. Ooh. So the aim of that fund is to really re-energize that space in the US.
Yeah. Boost it up.
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Maybe as they spin out, they'll need money
yes,
after your money that you give them to start out, they'll need more money to do what they're doing.
We will have we will have partners with other investment banks that can actually provide the bigger funds. Like we're working with 2 $4 billion investment banks each. They're both on the West Coast. One's in Beverly Hills, one's in San Francisco. We're working with both those banks to be able to enable these greater fundraisers. after we incubate the companies.
Okay. All righty, Paulina, you're up. I love what you're doing because it's so different and I've not heard of it before, and I feel like there's applications all over the place. And just a reminder to everybody here, we're recording this for posterity and it will become a podcast too. So if you miss something, you'll get it later. Paulina, go ahead and share a little bit with us.
Sure. Thank you for inviting me, Mary. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. My name is Paulina. I am based in London, UK, and I wear several hats. So I am a founder of a company called Granttree, granttree.co.uk. We specialize in securing equity-free government funding for startups and scale-ups in the technology space. And to date, we've raised over 200 million worth of government funding for our clients. And that's a company I scaled over the last 10 years to over 50 people. And I scaled it to a point where it became independent of me, so I could go off and pursue other projects. I've been an angel investor for about 5 years now. I invested in about 12 companies. And most recently, something I haven't told you about yet, Mary, I decided to take up an interesting opportunity, which is to set up a seed fund. And from mid-August, I will be investing 250 to 500,000 in startups from the following 4 sectors: fintech, green tech, future of work, and health and well-being. So I'm just starting to talk to startups as we speak, which is very exciting. The seed fund that I'm creating is called Little Whale Ventures. So we'll help our portfolio companies grow into big whales and make serious waves in the world. So I am very happy. My focus is, by the way, UK and European startups at this point.
Okay.
But I'm very happy to speak to startups worldwide, to give you advice. I'm part of a very active angel and VC community on Clubhouse. Quite often, if I like a company, I'm able to make an introduction to another investor that I know. So before I get very busy, which is likely to be next month, I have a little bit of time to speak to founders, give advice. I've also mentored several startups, one in India through Cherry Blair Foundation recently. So it's something that I really enjoy, and working with founders is really close to my heart. I think it's you people on the call and all those listening later that will ultimately change the world and create our future. So I'm very passionate about working with founders, and coming from an entrepreneurial background myself, I really hope that will make me a more considerate and responsive investor as well. So kind of that's all about me in a shortcut. Look forward to the discussion today.
Okay. Casey, I was going to have you write her on the questions, but given the number of people we have here, and we know most all of them that are here, let's just open the floor. If somebody has a question for any of them or all of them, if you would like to ask that question, unmute yourself and let me know.
I have a question for Vandana and for Paulina.
Okay.
I'm part of a university here locally in Monterey, California, and we do an investor expo every year. And we are doing a panel of female investors, but also social impact investors. Would either of you consider being on either of those panels?
Of course, as long as it agrees with my schedule and the time zones work. So typically, your morning, my afternoon here in the UK would work. And as long as I'm not engaged otherwise, sure, of course, why not? And I'm
Okay.
focused on social impact as well in my investments. So it's something that's important to me.
Okay. I appreciate it. And there's usually about 500 to 800 people that attend. It's both in person and virtual. So it's not a very small event. It's, it's a lot of good exposure for what you might be doing. And it's not just local to the US. We have people coming out of South America and all over the place. So thank you, Paulina.
So, thank you, Carrie. I'll be glad to be a part of it. Just let me know the date so I can just mix match with my calendar.
Okay, it happens in September, so it's pretty far out. So hopefully everybody's available. It's around the 23rd. So, all right, I appreciate it.
If you want, I can introduce you by email to these ladies, and that way
that would be wonderful. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Carrie, I'd love to attend if possible.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you could be on the panel too.
I mean, sure.
So anyway,
I do social investments, so why not?
There you go. So yeah, you guys be on that. So it's an incredible event. Of course, it's, a lot of different investor types, but it's also a lot of very cool, innovative startups, which is, predominantly that's where I live and work is in startups, and I have, my own companies. But yeah, okay. Yes, Mary, if you would, that would be great. Thank you, everyone.
Happy to do that. I see, hey, Jeanette, I see you. And there's somebody here who is working in agriculture in investments too. So I want you to be able to ask questions. Marissa, I wanted to get with you before we got through. And I don't know, Atif, will you please share a little bit of what you're doing right now? I don't know that you two have met. So if you will share real quickly again with Marissa what your background is.
Sure. So I have 9 startup companies doing various different things. You heard that?
Did you hear what who he is and what he does now?
Yes. Yeah. I was listening. Yes.
Okay. Because you were coming in when he was talking about
I was like, yeah.
Well, while we've got you, Marissa, why don't you share what you do?
Yeah, sorry. All of a sudden my calendar got booked and I'll have to jump in a few minutes as well. But I've been in the healthcare space for about 21 years, medical device manufacturing, engineering operations. And so you setting, I think, Atif, it was you who's setting up the semiconductors in Indiana, correct?
That's correct.
So I just spent a year and a half in Indiana doing medical device manufacturing work. So it is sorely needed, which is great. And, but I'm based in New York. But I do a lot of social impact investments. I'm a venture partner at a fund focused called Assiduity Capital in the Netherlands, focused on healthcare in Africa. I also am the founder and CEO of a global nonprofit, Her Healthy Q, which focuses on providing medical equipment to developing countries focused on women's health. And I have a consulting firm as well that focuses on helping small to medium-sized companies grow, most especially all in healthcare, and in the engineering operations space. I oftentimes have to build or transfer new products. I do a lot of outsourcing and offshoring work, oftentimes back to the US or near shore to Mexico. I do a lot of work in Latin America. Sit on the board of a few companies, all healthcare focused. So yeah, I only focus on healthcare. I think everything else is important, but you can't do everything. So
yeah, we should definitely talk afterwards, because there's a project I'm doing called OmniFusion that's going to revolutionize healthcare delivery. We're basically eliminating the need for electronic medical records. We are putting self-driving car technology in a physician offices to automatically capture the encounter and then parse it and put it into an electronic medical record. So the idea is, as you're as a physician, you're working at, right now physicians are spending 40% of their time dealing with electronic medical records, taking a lot of time away from patient care. And what we're going to do is basically capture that encounter digitally, parse it for the information needed, and use AI in the back end to extract the relevant information, put it into an electronic medical record. So after the physician comes out of the exam room, they're basically done. They don't have to touch the medical record system. So that's our intent. We've got we've got an investor interested in funding this. We've got a client in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, the countries of Malawi, Zimbabwe, a couple others are very interested in this. They also want to do this thing called a hospital in your hand device, which basically takes healthcare to the point of to the client instead of the client coming to them. So nursing staff, nurse practitioners, physicians can go to the field, in the field, capture physical exams, do diagnostics, all at the point of care. I mean, all in the homes of patients instead of having them come somewhere else. Very, very interested parties with a lot of funding available for that right now. I'm working with.
Amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. It's good to meet everybody too. And I'm listening. And when I leave, I'm going to be listening to the recording. So don't worry.
Okay. Thank you,
super into
Marissa.
it.
I appreciate
By
that.
the way, I'm just super impressed by your background, just the kind of stuff that you're involved in and how many pies you've got your fingers in. Very, very impressive.
Thank
So
you.
an inspiration.
They're all actually building products. None of them are stagnant. They're all moving forward. I'm not directly involved, hands-on with any one. I'm more of a manager of people. I've got very strong teams working in each, so that's how I can do all of this at once and multitask. But they're all coming together very nicely. We've got lots of funding available from my companies, and they're just all flourishing. It's interesting how it all started. So,
No, sounds amazing.
Fantastic. Thank you. And out of this group, my guess is there's at least 3 of you that would be open to looking for money. So I think that's, Marissa's shaking her head. Yep, Jeanette, I know you are too. Carrie's always looking for money because she has her hands on a lot of pies.
And I have a really good company I think Marissa would be interested in. It's a female product. It actually cures yeast infections. Right now, it's just
amen.
Yeah. There's nothing out there that does that. There's only things that subside the symptoms. So it's pretty phenomenal. Yeah, and it costs right now about 50 cents to manufacture.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. I would love to hear.
All right, excellent. I wanted to give Jeanette an opportunity. Jeanette, would you like to talk a little bit about what you're doing and see where it might fall? I forget which one of you. Tushar, it might have been you. I forget. Maybe in agriculture. I'm not sure, but go ahead, Jeanette.
Yes, thank you. And sorry I was late, but I did some practical farming and it took a little more time than I planned to. But Farming Academy is the world's first global online school of farming and life sciences. So that was the short explanation. And we are trying to make real trustworthy education available for everybody. And when we say everybody globally, it means that the people who don't have money to pay for education, they have to get it for free. So we are donating lectures to the people who need it most. And it's actually the same education as you get in Europe or anywhere else in the world. So it's the same level. And when we say farming and life sciences, at the moment we are expanding into education in human nutrition. So we're doing a lot of lectures on, just had one on what kind of milk powder to use for children. We have a very good scientist who did a lecture on that one. And we are cooperating with a lot of content providers from all around the world. At the moment, we're 25. In February, we were 4, so we are growing fast. And we hope to be 100 at the end of this year. And we are starting to make a lot of lectures. We are planning to, within a week or 2, to send out a little lecture called Introduction to Startup Farming. That will have it's going to be so expensive. It's going to cost $3 to attend the lecture. And then you get an introduction to what do you need to start farming. And we hope especially that a lot of women in Africa would be interested in taking that lecture. And that's the reason why we took down the price as far down as we could in the first. To give them a way to set up the free learners account, get some information, and get to know us so they know who to ask, and to bring their needs to us, and we'll find the lectures for them. And we just have got a professor in Farming Academy now. Since we spoke last, Mary, we have got a professor, our own professor in agriculture, and he's actually just been awarded with a prize for being in the top 2% most influential scientists in agriculture in the world. So
very good. Very good.
Have to brag about that.
So you're trying to expand, and I know when we talked before, you were looking for some funds. Do you have a roundabout figure that you're looking for now?
Yeah, we first of all, we take donations that we spend directly on giving free lectures, and we are looking for a few shareholders, and we want a board that represent everybody around the world. So we want every skin color, every gender, every religion, every continent represented on the board. And we have made it so it is not that difficult to come in and buy a share, because we took down, you can buy down to 0.25% of a share to give an easier entry for people from countries in Africa, for instance, or others that just want to share the good idea. But it's very important that people share our visions and missions. That is the most important for us.
Okay.
And of course, we are looking for more funding than that. We have applied the European Union for 400,000 euros, and let's see what happens there.
Okay.
Bill Gates.
Did you say where you were located? Did you tell people where you were located?
Yeah, I'm located in Norway.
Okay.
But Farming Academy is located everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, Emma, that is on right now, is in Kenya, and she is very much climate and green happy, green advocate. A young lady who is finishing up college in Kenya. So maybe she has heard everything that you've said. And,
I hope so.
Can help share that vision.
And you know, one of our Kenyan content providers, Festus, he's teaching in Farming Academy.
She knows Festus very well,
Yeah.
as do I. Yeah, very good. And Casey, who's our intern here, is, you can see her there. She is formerly the Future Farmers of America, a leader from our state. So yeah, we're very much pro farming and agriculture here. Evelyn, on the other hand, is in a whole different industry, who is on there. She is film and television, and she's out of the UK. And so Evelyn, I want to give you a moment, if you're hearing me, if you want to unmute and share a little bit about yourself real quick. We can do that.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. My name is Evelyn, and like Mary said, I work in film and television industry. What we do with my company, Floodlight Broadcasting Network Limited, is produce programs, TV shows for international syndication. We also create videos for information for different organizations. That's information videos. And we also produce commercials and radio jingles, everything that cuts across the media industry is what we do.
Okay. And we're working with her on a documentary project, but she has a film treatment, everything ready to go for an actual motion picture. Am I correct? You've got all the scripts, you've got cast lined up and everything?
Yes, it's actually a TV drama series.
Okay, TV drama series.
Yeah, that we're looking to pitch to different streaming sites across the globe.
Okay.
Yeah, everything is ready. We're just looking for how we can raise funds for it.
What's your ask again?
£5 million. All
right. Very good. And you know, she was introduced to us by my business partner in Nigeria, Dr. Osita Anamika, who knew her from Nigeria. So welcome, Evelyn. And this is a good place to be to determine where options might be for you. Emma had raised her hand, so I want to get back to Emma. Emma, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Madam Mary, for this great session. I'm learning a lot from the speakers. I appreciate what they've all shared. And my question will go to Paulina. She mentioned that she's willing to invest in a seed fund, whereby they'll include green tech. So my passion is in sustainable businesses. And I'd like to inquire if we can get to have a conversation after this. Thank you.
Yes, sure. So, are you actually setting up a green tech business, or do you have one already?
Thank you for that question. So, with regards to that business, it's still in the ideation phase. So,
Okay.
I think it'd be great to have a conversation with you on the steps moving forward. Thank you.
I do hope I can help. Yeah, of course. Let's have a chat. Mary can introduce us. I invest, as I said, in UK and Europe, but maybe I can help with my advice and experience. So yeah, of course.
So Paulina, I don't know if you were here when I introduced Emma. Emma is in Kenya and finishing up college in finance. She is an outspoken youth advocate for climate and greening and all things that have to do in those spaces. She's easy to find if you were to Google anything around that in Africa. She's just she's a voice that's coming into her own. So she's
very inspiring.
Yeah, very inspiring. She once, my understanding, Emma, you correct me if I'm wrong, is that when you finish your finance, education, that you'll go into maybe looking about creating an impact fund or something along those lines to help others who are in that space. But she's quite well known and quite well connected. So my guess is whatever she does is going to do well. There.
Very impressive, and of course, I hope that I can be of use.
I'll be happy to connect you guys. I'll be happy to connect you. So that's wonderful. Anybody else have any questions? I know, Carrie, you're collecting people to work with you on projects. This is great.
Yes, because so I have an intellectual property company, and it's in signal processing and power management. So converters and controllers and all that stuff. So always on the hardware side, but applications in both consumer and military. So I'm a co-founder of that company. And then I'm also the co-founder of a company called Renal Mate, which is a chronic kidney disease management platform. But I'm the chair of a company called Conscientious Credit Funding Organization, and we place wealthy people's money into CDs that are protected to fund sustainable build outs and infrastructure in communities, but also educational programming for people who otherwise wouldn't have access to it. And, I'm part of a women's group, and that's how I met Mary. And I chair the sustainable community projects and also the prison. I don't want to call it reform. I like disruption. And I work with a lot of startups, and I own parts in startups because I've invested in them, but I have a preference to the medical side of stuff and high tech, of course, because that's where I've lived for a long time. But my first company was in fashion. So, and, repurposing kimonos and stuff like that. So, yeah. But I like it.
Can I have one of your dresses?
Yeah, I have a green company, but it's diagnostics for the inverters and solar energy and things like that, so that when those things go down, the whole systems go down. So there's a lot of loss of money and time, and so it's really asset management stuff, but it's a pretty cool company. So I'm all over the place. So I've worked in nuclear energy, I've worked in cosmetics, vet science, all kinds of stuff, sports science. So I like it all. and yes, I'm always in the startup community. So yes, always, hunting for money and good partnerships and manufacturing capabilities and those kind of things. My company, the tech company, the IP company, it's a virtual company. We don't have any employers. We don't do any engineering. We just collaborate for implementation. So our expertise is in high mathematics and algorithms, dynamic algorithms and stuff. So yeah, that's me.
Terrific. Thank you, Carrie. Anyone else have any questions or
Can
comments?
I add something?
Sure, Tushar. Yeah.
So my company, we have very solid relationships with more than 27 top impact investors. They include India's top 3 in impact. They include big bracket funds from Singapore, Dubai, US, UK, and they are very much looking for environmental theme, renewable. They're looking for women founded companies. They're looking for social impact companies and corporate governance companies. And so, I'll be happy to help in that direction.
Fantastic.
Appreciate that. I can send all of you all of the companies that I'm working with, and you can all review them. And they're all in different stages. Some are getting ready to partner. Some are getting investment in. My company, the IP company, had a waiting list of investors. So the founders still own 75% of that company, and we raised $3.3 million at the friends and family level, basically. So, but yeah.
Good. If everybody's okay with this, I will just send out an email with everybody's email address in there, and then that way you can know. Vandana, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm cool.
Okay.
Yes.
And that way everybody will have,
fine.
instead of me trying to individually introduce, then everybody will have everybody's email address, because there may be a question or a private issue that one of you wants to talk to another with that you don't want to share necessarily on record. So, and I'm fine with that. So that's great. We'll get that done. This is terrific. Any other comments, questions?
I would like to say,
Jeanette? Okay.
I would like to say thank you for all the things you're doing, Mary. This is brilliant. Thank you.
I didn't know how brilliant it was going to be, but I love all this interaction. And Atif, there's a lot, every time I talk to you, there's something new you're doing. And I'm with Paulina. I don't know how you do it. But
Yeah.
It's terrific. And it's always good to know new directions, because whether it's global or not, there's always a way to kind of fit in. If there's a need or a gap, there's always a way to figure that out. And to see where things might be able to go. And I knew Carrie is sort of on the edge of a lot of the stuff that you were talking about. I think Marissa, I hope she'll check in. She came in after you were talking about what you were doing in the hospitals, and knowing that she works with repurposed hospital equipment, getting it to places. One of the things on a call, and I know she wouldn't mind me sharing, is I had her on a call with a gentleman who's a chancellor of a medical university. He builds medical universities in Africa. And he's got one that's a model that's been working for about 11 years in Gambia. And they've just now decided to attach a women's clinic to it. Well, he gets some of his equipment from a nonprofit organization out of the United States, but he's missing a mammogram. And so I connected him with Marissa, who says, I think I can get you a mammogram. And he said, well, the cost of shipping from the United States would be so much. She said they just pinned an agreement with UPS UPS Humanitarian, and they will pick up the cost of shipping it to Africa. So, it's interesting what you can put together if you have somebody who has all these different resources. And so I'm learning and I'm listening to these different resources. You being connected to a hospital, I felt like she would definitely want to have even a deeper conversation with you.
Absolutely. I'm open to anyone reaching out, if you have any questions, or I'm happy to get on a call. If we want to have a Zoom call talking about some of these ideas, we can do that. If there's people interested, we can all organize a Zoom call, but just talking about healthcare and what I'm doing in that space and how we can get involved. I've got an investor right now that is fairly wealthy that's putting in money into these ventures. So Silicon Nexus, he's putting in 10 million into that venture to start it up. We think we can raise $1 billion for that from graduates who have left the state, and others like Mark Cuban's going to be on our advisory board. We have people like Joe Costello, who started the entire electronic design automation industry. He was the founder and president of Cadence Design Systems. He's going to be on our advisory board. We have people like Ron Black, who was the former CEO of Imagination Technologies and Rambus. He's going to be on our advisory board. So we have some big names on this thing to drive it forward. And within the next 6 months, you'll see a lot of press on it as well, because this is going to be a model for the rest of the country.
Fantastic. look forward to hearing more about that, and perhaps you can bring somebody with you and we can have another interview about that when you get it ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
Fantastic, everyone. Any other last comments or questions or anything like that? Do you want to share? Okay, there you go, Vandana. Go ahead.
So, Dr. Atif, I have a lot of good medical deals that are solving a lot of problems for cancer, avoiding chemotherapy, for elderly care, for diabetes. If it's okay with you, I could show you those. If any of your healthcare investors, we have something on women healthcare technologies. I mean, do let me know your thoughts. I could
Sure,
share.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, very good.
Absolutely. Be happy
Yeah,
to.
I'll just share everybody's email address so that you guys can communicate freely however you need to, make your own, your own appointments to talk. So I will thank you here. If there's nobody else, anybody else have anything final to say?
Yeah, just wanted to second what's already been said. So thank you, Mary, for your work. You made this happen, and thank you for putting in your time and your enthusiasm to kind of connect the dots and help make these things happen. You're amazing. Thank you.
Connecting dots. That's what
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
guys.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
Really nice.
All of
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thanks.
All of
Bye.
you. You're
Have a
making
good
the
day.
world
Thanks.
run.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Look
Okay.
for an email
Thanks.
later this afternoon with everybody's email address, okay?
Thanks.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye.
good
Thank
rest of
you.
your day.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.